Dark psychology, the role of cognitive biases in influence. Cognitive biases are shortcuts our brains take to make decisions. They're usually helpful, allowing us to process information quickly, but here's the twist. These same mental shortcuts can be exploited to influence your behavior. Welcome to the world of dark psychology, where cognitive biases become tools of manipulation. Today, we'll explore how these biases work, how they're used against you, and most importantly, how to defend yourself. What are cognitive biases? Let's start with the basics. Cognitive biases are patterns of thinking that deviate from rational judgment. They're the brain's way of saving time and effort by taking shortcuts. For example, instead of carefully evaluating every piece of information, your brain might rely on past experiences or emotions to make decisions. While this saves energy, it also leaves you vulnerable to errors and manipulation. Manipulators, whether in marketing, politics, or personal relationships, know how to exploit these biases to nudge you in a specific direction without you realizing it. But how exactly does that work? The anchoring bias. Let's dive into one of the most commonly exploited cognitive biases, the anchoring bias. The anchoring bias occurs when your decisions are overly influenced by the first piece of information you receive. For example, in negotiations, a seller might start with an unreasonably high price. Even if they lower it later, your perception of value is anchored to that initial number, making you more likely to accept a slightly lower but still inflated price. This tactic is everywhere, in sales, real estate, and even salary negotiations. It's subtle but highly effective. The bandwagon effect. Next up is a bandwagon effect. This bias plays on our tendency to follow the crowd. If everyone else is doing something, we assume it must be the right thing to do. Social media thrives on this bias. Think about how many products you've been tempted to buy because they're labeled as bestsellers or most popular. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, fuels this behavior, making you feel like you need to join in. But the truth is, just because something is popular doesn't mean it's right for you. Recognizing the bandwagon effect can help you pause and evaluate your choices more critically. The halo effect. The halo effect is another cognitive bias that manipulates our perceptions. This happens when our impression of someone or something in one area influences how we feel about them in other areas. For example, if a person is attractive or charismatic, we might assume they're also intelligent, kind, or trustworthy, even if there's no evidence to support that. This is why first impressions matter so much, and why advertisers often use celebrities to endorse products. Understanding the halo effect can help you separate appearance from reality. Don't let superficial traits cloud your judgment. Confirmation bias. Now, let's talk about confirmation bias. This is the tendency to seek out information that confirms what you already believe, while ignoring evidence to the contrary. Manipulators use this bias to reinforce your existing opinions, making you less likely to question them. For instance, algorithms on social media show you content that aligns with your views, creating an echo chamber. Over time, this limits your ability to see other perspectives, making you more predictable and more influenceable. The antidote to confirmation bias is curiosity. Actively seek out different opinions and challenge your own beliefs. It's not easy, but it's essential for critical thinking. How manipulators exploit cognitive biases. By now, you're probably starting to see a pattern. Cognitive biases are like invisible strings, and skilled manipulators know exactly how to pull them. A politician might use the anchoring bias by making extreme claims, shifting the conversation in their favor. An advertiser might exploit the bandwagon effect to make a product seem irresistible. A salesperson might rely on the halo effect to make their pitch more appealing. The common thread? These tactics are subtle. You don't notice them happening until they've already influenced you. How to protect yourself. So, how do you protect yourself from the influence of cognitive biases? Here are 3 strategies. Pause before reacting. If you feel pressured to make a decision, take a step back. Ask yourself, am I acting on logic, or am I being influenced by a bias? Seek diverse perspectives. Surround yourself with people who challenge your thinking. Diversity of opinion helps you recognize and counter confirmation bias. Fact-check emotional content. When something provokes a strong emotional reaction, take a moment to verify the facts. Emotions are often the first tool manipulators use to bypass your logic. Cognitive biases are a natural part of how our brains work, but that doesn't mean they have to control us. By understanding these biases and staying mindful, you can take back control of your decisions and avoid falling into the traps of dark psychology. Thanks for listening. If you found this deep dive helpful, share it with someone who might need it. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the fascinating world of psychology. See you next time.